Friends, after months of adventuring, robbing monsters of their eggs, hatching them for my own desire, purpose, and to ride them into battle to fight each other, I have reached the end of Monster Hunter Stories 2 and have unlocked all of the story aspect of it, which we're going to talk about today. Pidgey Hunts! Welcome back, Classic Crew, as we wrap up the story aspect of Monster Hunter Stories 2 and talk a little bit about Endgame. Now, before we move forward, I have to say this is a heavy spoiler video. So if you have not completed the story and if you don't want to know what the end of the story is, don't watch this video. I'm going to talk about the final boss, my impressions of the final boss, my impressions of the final story, and what unlocks after you complete the final boss. So if you don't want any of that, you don't want that spoiled, this is your final warning. For those of you who don't care and who want to get spoiled or who know more than me, let's talk about Altura. And my goodness, how this game wrapped up. We went from a solid 5 out of 10 on the emotional scale to like a pretty close, I'm going to say 9 out of 10. So last time on the journal, the stage was set. We had uncovered the true prophecy. We had understood that the Rathalos was not the Wings of Destruction. Instead, it was this massive worm that was making holes everywhere, and that the Rathalos would save us all or something. I think that kind of makes sense. And we had also unlocked the fact that the guy in the Nergigante armor was the guy who was the villain that I had predicted from the beginning, and we just don't like him. And he's all about bringing the worm of death and destruction to wipe out all of humanity and Wyvernianity. I don't know if that's how you call the population of wyverns. The Wyvernians? That's probably better. And anyways, so the stage was set, very apocalyptic. Off we go. And so we journeyed across the land, searching far and wide. Each monster to understand the power when you ride. I couldn't help myself. So anyways, leading up to the final boss, there were a lot of cool new monsters, one of which is the Stygian Zinogre, which stands out to me, and there was a few other variations. So we're getting introduced still to new monsters in the final phase. And then this jerk of a Zellard takes our Ratha, and we have to fight our own Ratha, which is like dick move. That's a way how to really make this villain feel even more villainous, and you want to slap him around more. So I really hated this guy. So we fight our own Ratha. We use the power of friendship. We get him back, and this guy is just so like bent on self-destruction and hurting himself and like destroying everything. He's a crazy villain. So anyway, a lot of stuff happened. And a lot of emotions ran high. And I have to say that the story of this game, I was not expecting it to end on such a crescendo. And it was really, really well done of how they brought all the elements, how they pulled at the heartstrings, the cutscenes, how they're like, oh, you know, even though Red was, we were always in the shadow of Red, they still like brought in Red, and then they brought in the Guardian Ratha, and they tied that into it, and then the whole thing's sad. Anyways, very emotional stuff. I loved it. I thought it was a really cool ending. But the boss fight, so out of the worm, we get this massive Altura because now he ate the Rathalos, I think, and became complete or whole or something. Because, you know, in these games, you're always trying to stop something and you never succeed. So anyway, we fight essentially what I'm going to say is God. Now, I wonder if this Altura is ever going to become a monster that we can fight in the more traditional sense of Monster Hunter. That'd be kind of cool. But anyways, here we go. Big butterfly. And this thing was, I'm just like, all right, let's go see how we can do. And this happens more often than I like to admit in my JRPGs. I always finish with the closest possible. So I was down to my final heart. I was one hit away from dying. I was into like phase 45 of this boss fight, which that's what it felt like. Like the fights just keep going and going. And I was doing my best and I was out of items. I couldn't heal my character. And I'm just like, I'm gonna have to restart this whole fight after spending like 20 to 30 minutes on this. That's what it felt like. And I'm just like, whatever, here we go. And just like out of nowhere, Kyle of all people saves me with the final shot, the final crit with his bow, and boom, Altura came down. It was such a scary moment. It was, what is this here? This doesn't need to be here. I was sure I was gonna die. And if you watch the clip, I'm like, folding into my, I'm like, I'm gonna die. And it was just like the commands were set, the stage was set. I'm just like, I'm gonna die, but let's see what happens. And through sheer luck, I didn't
Kyle,
die.
best boy.
I got the final hit, and Altura came crashing down, which made the final fight feel even more like if I just stepped in there and steamrolled everything, that wouldn't have been as rewarding. But the fact that I like just barely like crossed the finish line really made that feel like a climactic ending. So yeah, really cool ending. Like this game, I've been praising this game through the whole time that I've been playing it. I've been loving it from the start, from the demo. I've been loving it from the demo. And to play a new JRPG all the way to the end is not something I do that often anymore. So to get this full experience has been amazing. But what is even more amazing is what happens after. And this is what I love. So there's JRPGs which really hook me in because of the story. This is not one of those RPGs. The story is not that enticing. It's not that interesting. But the gameplay is what really hooked me into this game. So the gameplay is solid and like really well done. And so I was really looking forward to the post-game content because I know that there's a lot of new monsters and there's a lot of stuff that unlocks. I did not know about the Elder Layer, and I did not know what high rank unlocking actually meant. So as you can see at the bottom of my screen, usually when I'm streaming, I'm always keeping count of these things that I'm tracking. And one of them is how many monsters I have left to hunt. And I was getting those numbers were getting low. I'm like, this counter's going to be 0. I finished the game and I didn't realize high rank means I have to hunt everything I encountered and more. And so my counter went from, I think it was like 20s or something to like 140. I was just like, I felt like I was so close, but I got so much more to do. But on the plus side, the Monsty count didn't change. So at least those counters are kind of low. Went out and fought a few high rank monsters and got like destroyed because I went out of order. So after the game ends, it tells you, hey, if you want to keep playing, maybe you should go check out this Elder Lair that we have now unlocked. And I'm like, forget that. Let's go do some quests. And I accidentally went into a high rank den and I got destroyed by a Baroth. And I was like, oh, this stuff hits hard. All my armor is useless. I need high rank armor now. I need high rank weapons. And for the most part, my monsties are okay, but I can probably buff them up with better attacks. So I just need to do stuff. I'm like, all right, let's just focus on clearing out the low rank quests because I'm all about getting rid of these quests. This is a game I'm really motivated to complete. And so I'm like, all right, get rid of the 1-star quest, get rid of the 2-star quest. I think at the time I'm recording this, I'm currently going through the 4-star quests, and I do a little bit every stream. And then I'm going through this thing called the Elder Lair, which I love how it's set up. It's a perfect post-game content where you're going through different levels and there's a gatekeeper and they're like, to get past this stage, you must do this challenge. I love this format and it just makes me go, oh, what's next? What's next? Because somehow I have not gotten the end of this Elder Lair spoiled for me yet, and don't you dare spoil it. So I don't know what's at the bottom of this lair. I just know that it's going to be something awesome. And I've just made it to level 6 and every level is different. So at first I was expecting, so the first level has you go, what do they make you do? Oh, they go hunt all these things and the targets are on the map. And that was great because it started getting me through the high rank grind and I was picking up some stuff to upgrade so like this was really integrated well to encourage me to start getting geared up for high rank while starting to knock off some monsters from my list. So I love that part. But then when I went to the second level, it's like, oh no, we're changing the rules. Now it's all about part breaking. We need you to break certain parts. I was like, oh, that's different. And then I go to the next level and it was another requirement. So I love the fact, I think the third level, if I remember right, I had to fight monsters within a certain amount of turns. I'm like, oh, I'm really enjoying how they set up these challenges. And just before recording this journal, I got to level 5 and I did not expect this at all. But they said, this is the floor where you have to find some notes to learn how to kill Velkhana. I was like, they gave a whole floor to Velkhana? I'm just like, so if you don't know by now, Velkhana is one of my favorite monsters, if not my favorite monsters. It's right back there too. I was like, oh my God, like I knew Velkhana was in the game, but I didn't know that Velkhana had its own like little moment like that. I was like, oh, this is such a great way to fight it. So I go out and I find the notes and I realize the notes are telling you how to kill it. I was like, oh my God, okay, this is like a puzzle. And then I go into my first Velkhana fight and I actually wrote down all the notes because I'm like, okay, when it does this, if it opens like this, it's going to do this many moves. And I'm like building my strategy. And the fight, like she destroyed me on the first one. I was like, okay, I know what to do now. I have to like learn how to like evade when I don't know what she's going to do so I can know what the move is and predict. And there's the theme song of Velkhana playing, which I'm like, oh, my heart. And then the best part is I killed it. And then I went into multiplayer. That the best part was not that I killed it. The best part is what comes after. So I go into multiplayer and we do some expedition to get a Volcana egg. And on my last egg in the expedition, I got the Volcana egg. I was like, oh, I get my baby Volcana, and I got to have my own. I've never been so excited to ride a monster in a game, in this game, except maybe Anjanath, but Volcana's way cooler. So I got on Volcana, and the fact that like, oh, she just runs so gracefully. Like, I love this. And then I started flying with her. I was like, Ratha, you are now trash. I will never fly on you ever again. Volcana is ultra cool compared to you. So now I have to level her up. I literally just got her. I didn't get to play too much with her because the stream ended. But unlocking Volcana was such a beautiful moment in this game. This game just keeps giving and giving. And now I also appreciate a lot more of the game's references, especially because I've started playing an older Monster Hunter like 3 Ultimate. And these items that I had no reference for, of like, why do you need books to learn everything? Like, you don't see books in Rise and World, but oh, books are a staple of the old games, or at least in 3U. What is a paintball? Oh, I know what a paintball is. What is a Kurupeko? Oh, I know what a Kurupeko is now. So all of these references that I got introduced to Stories 2, I'm now understanding the source material, and it just makes me appreciate the universe so much more. It's just so cool. I love it. So I was really banking on this being my final journal for the game, considering I've finished the story. But I know that there's a lot of game left in the end game, and there's a lot for me to experience. There's a lot of the challenges for me to take on that have been added in as DLC. And there's just all the quests to finish and so much, which I'm going to do. But honestly, I don't know what that's going to translate to in terms of a journal of me just going, oh, that was cool, or oh, here's what I thought of the Fatalis fight. There's only so much you can talk about in a turn-based, so maybe there will be another journal. Maybe it's just going to be a Monster Hunter Stories 2 like review when I finished everything. I'm not sure where we're going to go from here, but I think this kind of like concludes the meat and potatoes of the game. I've experienced the story. I've experienced most of what the game has to offer. And now it's just about discovering, well, who knows what's at the end of the Elder Lair? Maybe that's going to warrant its own video. Who knows? And what happens after the end of the Elder Lair? Maybe there's more. But I'll figure that out once I get there. I'm probably a few weeks away from getting to the bottom of that lair and fighting whatever's down there. So I'll see you in a future stream or a future stories video. But man, if you have not played this game, well, I've just spoiled it all for you. Get it? And if you've put it aside and you didn't wrap it, or for whatever reason, just, oh man, this is a fun game. Like if you can feel what I'm feeling, it's a good time. So I'll see you in the next video, and until next time, keep it classy. Do 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 do. Subscribe.